Good afternoon everyone. So today we're at a Vauxhall van, 2013, is it a Movano? But it comes up as a Renault Master 3 in the scan tool. So I'll let you see it. So the customer's complaint with this one, you start it up and after a few seconds the battery light comes on and the stop comes on. So we'll do a full scan. So just in conjunction with the battery you can see our voltage. Our voltage is 14.13, so it's charging okay. So I don't know what the complaint is with the battery sim. So let's go into system list. Let's go one at a time. Preheating unit diagnostic connection fault alert via the control unit. Would that bring it on? Don't know. Oil level sensor circuit feed voltage too low. Fuel sender circuit open circuit. So the fuel and the oil. Well, the fuel light's on and says there's no fuel in it. I wonder if that's bringing it on. UPC alternator link invalid. So it's a UPC it's complaining about the alternator. So a DTC920F81. So the UPC I think is under here, and it doesn't like what it's seeing. Radio, it's like it's disconnected. So let's wait till it does its scan, and we'll attack this one here. The DTC920F81. UPC alternator link invalid. So you can see there's not many modules it communicates with this one at all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the UPC we were attacking. ESM and active UPC alternator link. So let's enter into that and let's see what the voltage the UPC's get. So number of starts, estimated, blah blah blah. I don't know what that means. Okay, that read DTC. UPC alternator link invalid. Let's look at the data stream. There's only 27 PIDs, so select the lot. It says it's active, the 12 volt ignition relay, alternator load. Well, no, it's 99%. So battery charge warning quest status 1, illuminated. Battery voltage 3560, that's like 3 volts. 35600, so it's millivolts, so it can only see 3 volts. It knows it's open, not connected. Number of starts. So reverse gear, engaged, no, so we'll just see if this thing, we'll put it into reverse. So that's fine. See that link? That's like a blown fuse or something like that. Status of charge of battery 70%. Now we need a bit of information here to know where we're going, because if it knows it's at 70%, but then it reads there it's just at 3 volts. No, unless it's got another battery on it. Don't know. So let's key off, key on. Sees that right. Alternator load 99%. It's off. I went into the engine ECM. I've just selected 2 PIDs, alternator and computer supply. So you can see the computer knows it's getting 14 volts, but the alternator is still full fielding at 99%. So let's graph them. We'll stop and start it. Right, so you see that the light's back on again. So key off, key back on. Right, we've dropped to 13 volts. Let's crank her over. 0% so far. The light's not back on yet. Alternator load 0%. Still reading 12. Then the fault comes up in the dashboard. Then it full fields the alternator and then we go to 14 volts. Let's have a little look under the hood. You can see there, oh, the alternator's brand new. Somebody's throwing an alternator at this. Was this a telltale sign as well? Is that the end of the alternator? So, don't think it's not the alternator, definitely. Well, that's stating the obvious, isn't it? So I think it's more to do with that UPC. So wherever that resides, is it maybe under here or under there? I'm not sure. Let's get some information. So what I've done here, I've brought out my little scope. I'm grounded it onto the chassis ground, onto the engine eyelet. And I went into that one control wire which is on the alternator. Now I want to see if they're sending a digital signal to there to try and control that alternator and what that looks like. And that tells me if the alternator's full fielding with no signal or there is a signal being sent. So there we go, we're just into that little, there's a one wire control of this alternator. So I'm on my green channel because my yellow channel's faulty, so we'll put the key on. So see, we're getting sent a square wave. Right to that, so that alternator is controlling that. So let's start it up. So then it cuts out and then it comes back in. So I think it's got some form of control, but no sure. So let's see the scan tool. So the scan tool's still reading 4 volts. So let's come back out of that. Let's watch the scan tool now. Maybe it's disconnected. That's not reliable. Let's go back into UPC. See if we can delete this code. So the scan tool's reading 12.9 volts, 12.49 volts, and I will watch that. And then we go, I should update it. It's just beeped. Doing funny things. That's just at 12.49 volts now. Let's go. Rate date DTC. It's up rate date, so memory inactive. So the very fact we've got something there, I think that's sent for the ECM. It's for the ECM out to the UPC. I had a quick look at all data. Now I need to look at it in more detail, but looking at this wiring diagram, it's calling it something else. It's calling it, let me see, I think that's a 1337 there, so we'll look up the index, 1337. This is for the battery current sensor, but I think it's taking us to the right place. 1337. Switch and protection unit, so I must locate that. So I typed in switch and protection unit up here on the right hand side, and you can see it's exactly where we thought. So it's under the water bottle. Take that off. It's 4 bolts. And then it hits a computer itself. So we need a wiring diagram of the switch and protection unit to see where it goes, links to the alternator. So when I type in the all data, here it comes up, switch and protection unit, but you see the diagram's half chopped, so we need to find out what's on the other side of that. But maybe it's a good idea maybe just to check all the fuses, because everything seems to be going through this thing here. So it says batteries 107, alternators 103, but maybe it's just a blown fuse within that switch and protection unit. Let's look. So here is the switch and protection unit. You just remove that cover, 4 bolts, then you're into it. So there's fuses at the other side, so I'm just going to run through and check them with my test lamp and let you see if, I'll show if there's any blown ones. So indeed I've checked all the fuses and they all seem good. The only one that wasn't lighting either side, so that doesn't really count, is this 30 amp green one up here. So what the orientation of this box is, I do not know. Well, my money's on something within here. But it has to be a link connector wire between this unit and the ECM. But you would think that'd be done through CAN bus. Not really sure. More research. Right, I'm back again at this van with the alternator problem. So I've traced this wire into this thing here, the protection unit, and see the white wire down just right there into the black multi-plug. I'm getting exactly the same signal on that as I get down there at the alternator. So that seems to be checking out fine, but I maybe could run a bypass wire just to see if that makes any difference. But that signal's in both places and it's emanating from this unit here, because if I unplug that down there, the signal's still on that wire. The other thing I done off camera was I checked all these fuses, so they're all checking out good. So there's power on both sides, the ones that are lit up. You can also see the most important one there is ALM UCH, right there in the middle of 5 amp, and that's good. So if I read this again, actually, it says it's complaining about low battery, right? So if I go into the UPC, and you can go into, let me show you, you can go into so is it special functions. I wonder if we can tell it's had a new battery. Battery cycle counter, memorise battery cycle counter. So maybe we could reset, try this. Battery cycle counter. So key on, okay. I don't know what that means, so we'll cancel out that. So battery cycle counter estimated. Okay. Does that tell me to put this code in? 129AF. I've not got that code. Let me have a fiddle about and I'll get back. I've tried various functions within this top down, none of them work, but I'm just wondering, could this be a software issue within that box? Because see, the corrosion battery estimated FFF, it's like they're all blank. You think, I don't know. I mean, the very fact that this is complaining about a low battery and no the alternator per se, and I'm scared to call it on the UPC or protection unit. Let's get the snap-on it and see if we can configure in the battery. So I switched to the snap-on, and this may be a bit better actually. DF0002, DF0002, alternator voltage control malfunction. So we're back to the alternator again. So it's either that box, the wiring, or the alternator. Now that box could be, but it's a big shout. So let's see what this has got in it. Data on state of charge at 70%, 12 volts, active side lights, alternator 14.25, alternator load not available. Right, agree with that. So functional test, protection reset, let's try that. This function should be used to reset overload protection when the switching is due to a voltage overload. We'll try that, boys and girls. This function should be used to reset overload protection when the switching per unit is the event that the unit has been tripped. Okay, let's go. Okay. Read the codes and check the correct operation. So let's go. Okay. See if it codes. Clear codes. Okay. Codes. No codes. Start it up. So we're reading. It's still not right. 12 volts. Oh, we're getting up there. So let's see, and then it comes on. So we've not got a code yet. Codes. Then it's back. A DF0002. Right, I have run a bypass cable for this white pin. I think it's pin 8 going into the box. And I ran it all the way into the alternator, never made any difference. So it's still complaining on the snap-on unit about the alternator not getting regulated. So I can rule out the wiring with me doing the bypass. So it's either the box or indeed is it the wrong alternator that's been fitted. Another thing is I decided to pull that fuse. I'll put this. I pulled that fuse there, this 5 amp one, and that's working because when you pull it you get loads of other faults come up. So that fuse is good, and that's the only one that feeds the UCH. So I'm a bit stuck, I must be honest here. I need to phone my mate Dave. He usually answers the questions. So I thought I'd put a little hotel on it, and we're getting a DF007 active UPC alternator link invalid. So escape out of that. Live data. Parameters. So state of charged battery 17%. There we go. Is that maybe the one that's bringing the light on? Alternator load 99. Guaranteed state of charged battery 17%. Everybody else says 70%. Well, let's see if the clues line in this tool. I'm using the hotel, so you can see it's still a DF007. Memory codes are multiplex, transmission absent. Maybe I selected the wrong gearbox. Nothing else here, just the radio again. So stuck. The other thing about the Renault is, see when you see a red wire, that's permanent 12 volts. Black is ground, and yellow is switched 12 volts. So that only comes on when the ignition switched on. So yellow's ignition, red's permanent, and black is ground. So we may have progress. We think we have the wrong alternator on it, because I checked parts. So we're going to try the one that matches up with the original equipment alternator and see if that works. But here's the one here. I'm not sure about the quality of these things, but we'll try it. But there was a form that came with it. Here's it says. Check your old unit for any original equipment numbers. Ensure that you're fitting the correct alternator. Part numbers that fit this vehicle physically look the same but are electrically different and are not interchangeable. So we think that maybe what's happened. But if no, if this doesn't work, we're going to get a genuine Renault alternator, and I think the original equipment's Mitsubishi. But we'll try this one first. Well, there you go, there's the multi-plugs down there. So ours is this one, the LIN bus. And we're wondering if this one's maybe got this common BSS. Don't know. It says this alternator functions use conventional warning light circuit with a digital field monitor signal. Well, we've seen that. Partially ECU controlled. The alternator will begin to charge when the warning light is extinguished, but can be, I don't know what it ends here. So this video was actually recorded over a year ago, and I just, believe it or not, found out the other day what the fix was. So my friend said to me he actually changed the UPC, or the switch and protection unit, from another motor they had lying there, and that fixed it. So there was no coding, no program required, and that was the issue. So if you ever have this fault light, just change the UPC.